This man hacked NASA. This is Gary McKinnon, a British man of Scottish origin, born in 1966 in Glasgow. He has Asperger's syndrome, an autism spectrum disorder, one of the characteristics of which is developing obsessions. For Gary McKinnon, it's space and UFOs. He has been fascinated by extraterrestrial life since his teenage years and developed another hobby, computers. He was the typical nerd. At 14, Gary got his first computer and taught himself how to become a developer. He had one goal in mind, to prove by any means necessary that UFOs exist. But in 2001, his obsession took a completely different turn. He was 34 years old and tired of finding almost nothing on the internet about extraterrestrials. So when he learned that the US military used the Windows operating system and that he himself had a job installing and configuring Windows workstations, Gary had a revelation. He needed to hack into the US government's computers to search for information about UFOs. He then embarked on what is considered the greatest military hack of all time. Under the pseudonym Solo, he accessed 97 computers belonging to NASA, the US Army, the US Navy, the US Air Force, and even the Pentagon. But how? Well, to pull off this feat, he used a technique called trust relationship exploitation. In short, Gary looked for a military network computer without a password so he could take control of it. Once connected, this allowed him to access other computers on the network. Yes, this was 2001, and security measures at the time were virtually non-existent, even in the highest echelons of power. Gary then began searching through thousands of files, even giving up his job and spending every night snooping. But one evening, he was caught red-handed. An American agent saw his mouse moving on its own on his screen. Alarmed, he started a conversation via a word processor on the computer, but Gary pretended to be a military security engineer and fooled the agent. Despite this minor scare, he didn't stop there. He even took it a step further and hacked into NASA. He decided to search the computers in Building 8 of the Johnson Space Center in Houston. According to a former NASA employee, this was a special building that housed agents responsible for photoshopping UFOs out of satellite images. The result? He discovered hundreds of photos weighing in at several megabytes. He was absolutely sure that these were altered UFO photographs. So he decided to open one. But the problem is that Gary's computer had a weak connection, so the photo took forever to load. And just as 3/4 of the image appeared on his screen, he was caught by a NASA employee who immediately disconnected him. This was in March 2002. NASA investigated, found his IP address, and quickly tracked him down. It was a fairly simple task, as he took no precautions to protect himself and even used his own email address. He was swiftly nabbed at his London home. Aware that all the evidence was on his hard drive, Gary did not deny the facts. The hacker then embarked on a long legal battle to be tried in the United Kingdom, as the United States wanted to extradite him there, where he faced a 70-year prison sentence. Throughout the procedure, he admitted to the intrusion. However, he denied any malicious intent and claimed that he was simply acting out of curiosity. In fact, he claims that 99% of the time, he found nothing related to UFOs. However, he claims to have found some interesting elements that have never been confirmed by NASA. First, he suggested that some satellite images had been altered to remove traces of UFOs before being released. Second, he claims to have seen with his own eyes a black and white photo of a huge cigar flying over the Earth.
No seams, no rivets, no sort of telemetry or antennae or anything like that. But it was obvious it wasn't like any satellite I'd ever seen. And I've been space mad since I was about 14, so I've seen lots of pictures of satellites.
Finally, he claims to have obtained a mysterious list entitled Non-Terrestrial Agents, which includes references to transfers between spacecraft. These clues led him to believe that the United States is developing a secret military program based on extraterrestrial technology. In 2012, British Home Secretary Theresa May decided not to extradite Gary McKinnon to the United States. His lawyers argued for years that it was dangerous for him to remain in prison because of his Asperger's syndrome. Gary McKinnon has now completely obtained freedom. Since then, there has been no proof of the existence of UFOs, but perhaps Gary is still working on it.